Hello gamers, it's SoftKitty99 and today we're in Parkitect and I'd like to take you on a tour of the theme park that I built for the campaign scenario for the Taste of Adventure expansion, Victoria Island. As you can see, I didn't get the gold medal on this one, and I'm telling you, so far this is the hardest one of all the campaign scenarios that I've attempted. So let's take a look at what it says. Victoria Island. A hotel on a remote island wants you to develop some amusement attractions on its property to attract more guests. Local authorities will allow you to buy up all the remaining land on the island, but at a high cost. And when you start, it really does give you a very small amount of space, and you literally have to start buying land immediately upon starting the scenario. So in this one, you really have to think about where you're going to expand and how much space you need. The scenario requires you to have a profit from rides of at least $4,000. Get that? Rides. Not from your entrance fee, not from your stalls for food and drink and souvenirs and things, just the rides of at least $4,000, which is where you come a little bit unstuck, because multiple times I got that little bar for completion appear on my screen and start going across, but you have to hold the 4,000 for 2 months. So multiple times this bar came up and started filling, but it would rain and then all the rides would close and the bar would go away, and it did that multiple times. So think carefully about rain protection, and the thing that I regret not doing was putting a couple of covers over at least a few rides. I don't know if that would have been enough to keep the profits ticking over, but I'd give that as a tip to people starting this. Own at least 3,000 tiles of land. That's going to cost you a lot of money, so be careful about your expansion. So buy the land as you need it to build on, and think carefully about how much land you need at a time to ultimately get the goal of that without spending all your money too early in the scenario. Your optionals here are sell at least 500 park tickets, which you're easily going to do before you get to this goal of money. Complete all non-optional goals without building while the game is paused. So no building while the game's paused. Complete all goals without using any tracked ride blueprints. So for people like me who are not great at coaster building, this one was definitely a challenge. I definitely recommend you get at least a couple of coasters in early. That's something that I put off a little bit too long perhaps as well, because of my lack of building skills. And once I'd gone past the time to get the optionals, I stuck a couple of blueprint ride coasters in just to help me get it to tick over to completion in the end. Have a cleanliness rating of at least 90% and complete all non-optional goals by the end of December year 3. So as you can see, that's an awful lot of things to do in order to get the gold medal. So that's what makes this one really hard. You have to buy the land, which is expensive, so if you buy too much land then you've not got enough money to put in your attractions and your theming and all the rest of it. So you've got to balance how much land you've got with the making money. You've got to balance rain protection to keep things open when it rains. You've got to get coasters and things in to attract the guests in order to get them into the park to make the money. So there's a lot of things to balance in this one, so it's really quite a difficult one. So the entrance to the park is this building here, which is basically your hotel, and if you drop the scenery you'll see that this is where your goods in depot is. So when you start the scenario, you've just got this building here with the goods in depot. I added the staff room here, the information kiosk here, toilets here, and a tiny little shop area here. Now when I first started the scenario, I only had one food and drink place here, the pizza and the soft drinks, and I had a toilet here where I've now got the ice cream. And then later in the scenario, once I'd researched these shops here, the balloons and the ice cream, I then expanded this and moved the toilet over here. So initially the end of my park was basically here, so my little food court butted right up to where the fence was originally. And when you start, you basically only got a little plot of land. I had just about enough space to put in these 2 rides before I had to start buying land. So you do have to start planning and buying land really quickly. So I started with the carousel, added this little tiny shopping area, then I went slightly further up the hill, added this top spin, and then slowly started to expand out. So we added a drop tower slightly further up the hill, and then much later in the scenario, after I'd done a lot of research, I then added the transformer also to utilise as much space as we possibly could. So my start to my park was these two rides and this little food court here. And then you need to start buying land and expanding. So think carefully about what you want to put in. When I started the scenario, I had 3 potential coasters unlocked. So I started with an alpine coaster, a bobsled coaster, and the monorail coaster. So I was initially thinking I'd put an alpine coaster on this hill up here, but in the end I thought that could be a little bit difficult to get to work for me, because I'd have to buy a big plot of land, which would cost a lot of money. So in the end I just didn't build that, and I did do some research later on to get more coasters. So which coasters you get could be your make or break on this one. If you get a really good coaster early on, so you can build yourself a keynote coaster right at the beginning, that might speed you along in able to maybe get the gold medal. So after I started this little bit here, I then expanded out. There was a small jetty when we started, so I expanded out further across here, put in the plane ride on the next piece of land, and added this lovely little log flume. Just for a second there, I couldn't remember the name log flume. That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, so I did build this log flume. I'm quite pleased with this, actually. If you take a look at it, I'm really quite pleased with it. So you come up out of the station, up the lift hill out of the station, do a little meander here. Come on, follow the right one, guys. Thank you. A little meander around here over the top of the path, so you've got this interaction with quite a few rides at the sides, and then you've got this beautiful big drop coming along here, and you get lots of anticipation with the timings. So perhaps I would have preferred the timings to be a little bit less, but I built this myself and I'm really quite pleased with it, because I think it forms a great little skyline element right in the centre of the park, and it utilises space of the water. So here we go, big splash. A little meander around, passing lots of the other rides, so you can be viewed from being on top of a lot of the rides. And from the tops of the hill on the log flume, of course, you get a view of an awful lot of the other rides available in the park to tempt you to go and explore further and get on all the rides. And then we've got a second big lift hill with another meander around at the top, and then another nice big drop. So it's a big 2 drop special, but they are quite big drops, these 2 drops, and I'm really pleased with my log flume personally. And as you can see at the side of the log flume, we've also added the paddle boats over here, just to utilise the water area that we've got in the middle of the park. So we'll just watch the guys go around and come down the second of our drops, so you get the full effect of the log flume, and then I'll take you on a quick tour around the rest of the park. As you can see, we all got all the way to year 8, so a long time past getting the gold medal. As I said, we added the calm ride, the plane ride over here, and then as we expanded we went out onto the edge of the ocean over here for the experience ride over here. And then as we come across the bridge here, we've got a cash machine, and we've added quite a lot of the decor. We've used these beautiful silver birch trees, and we've used lots and lots of foliage on the grassy areas. A little bit of splash of colour. Some of these new plants that we've got in the adventure pack. Hey, stop trying to push each other into the corner. Let them out so that they've got... See, you've got all this space over here. Why are you all pushing into that little corner there on your paddle boats? Crazy guys, aren't they? So come across the bridge, and we've added some of these little pavilions to protect you from being splashed by the water on here. Oh look, he's got his hands over his mouth. Oh, that's so funny. As you cross the bridge, we've then got rides on both sides of the path. We've got the beautiful Enterprise over here. As you can see, that's way up in the air. So there you go for your thrill ride. And then opposite this, we've got a coaster. It's not the most exciting coaster, I must admit. I did build it myself, and I did try to fit it in a tiny amount of space. So it's the powered coaster that I used on this one. So as you can see, it comes out of the station this way, goes up a lift hill, just comes round a corner here, next to where we've added another food court. You've got a drop over here. In fact, let's follow the coaster. So up you come, fairly big drop, hands in the air, another little drop here, and a curly. And I did manage to put in a little bit of banking on the turn. I don't know if it was enough. I think it's okay. And then get people back into the station. So if we can, let's have a look at the stats for this one so you can see. So excitement of 69, intensity of 8. So maybe it could have used some more intensity, but the excitement rating's really quite good. Yeah, it could have done with a bit more of intensity, but the nausea is very low as well, and the decoration is high because I've got lots of foliage in. So I'm quite pleased with the excitement rating. Would have liked a bit more intensity, but since I only got this little bit of space of land here, I was a little bit limited in what I could build. Trying to fit a little bit more than that in, I would have struggled with a little bit, I think. And then opposite the Enterprise here, I've added in the Calm car ride, and as you can see, we've now got a path going in two different directions. You can head this way or you can head this way. So if we go behind the car ride, you've also got access to the monorail coaster. And let me show you what we've got. We've got quite a low excitement rating on this one, 37%, but the intensity here is 64. So nausea is quite low again, and the decoration's amazing. So we've got these two a bit separate. See, this one's got good excitement and this one has got good intensity. So it's a kind of trade-off, but I think I'm starting to learn. So can we follow the coaster? There we go. So you come straight out of the station, straight into a loop and a bit of a corkscrew barrel roll type thing, and then you come back around into the station again. So it's quite a simple little coaster again, but I've tried to add it into the space of where the car ride is. So if you look at so this is where you've got the queue into the monorail, and there's the way back out there, and the entrance for the car ride is here and the exit is here. So the car ride goes from the station here up a little bit through a tunnel and then up and round here. So it's got lots of interaction with the paths, as you can see, and then we've got a high road looping down underneath itself and a second loop. So I love having these trees in the middle to loop around, because the hill, it's on a hill, you see, so it's quite high up here. So every time I've dropped down, I've used a loop just to add a little bit of fun to the ride. There you go, come round a second time, do a little curl around the coaster station, then you go underneath the coaster in order to come back round, loop around again so that you interact yet again with the coaster, and then again with the path back into the station. So I'm quite pleased with that, actually. And you come a little bit further along here and we have our so right on the end of our food court here, we've got the toilet. You've got access for the staff here, and we've got a staff building hidden underneath here, and of course the goods receiving depot here, and then some shops across this direction. So if I drop the scenery to show you what we've got, so you see we've got a goods depot, goods receiving here, trash chute, staff room for the staff so they don't have to walk to the opposite end of the park. As you can see, we've actually got quite a lot of space over here now. Then we've got soft drinks. Oh, somebody better get and clean that. Sub sandwiches, popcorn, and balloons. So we've got a nice mix of different shops in there, and then we've got a little seating area which looks out onto the sand, where I've added some yucca plants just to kind of make them feel a little bit more sandy. I don't want to put the proper green shrubby things on sand. And then they've got a nice view out onto the ocean over that direction, you see. And this interacts here with the queue for our great big monorail type ride. So this one is actually a pre-built one. After I'd lost the gold medal, I just decided to put in a nice big pre-built one to become my great big keynote ride to get everybody in. So it's got an excitement rating of 73, intensity of 87. Nausea is a little bit higher than I'm quite comfortable with, but it worked out really well. So that's the Trailblazer Raptor replica in the pre-built tab. And as you can see, it fits just along the entire length of the island. At this point I was trying to make sure I had enough blocks purchased for the 3,000 goal of blocks purchased. As you can see, that sits right behind the car ride, so we've got a little bit of interaction here, and as you can see, it's one of the later added ones because it's not got as much decoration around it. A lot of this tree up the top here was already on the island, and I didn't get to add a lot of that before the scenario ended. So let's zoom back so you can see a little bit better how all of that fits together. So right behind the car rides, we did have a little bit more space. We might have been able to add a little bit of something else. These are all the things I've showed you already. And if you continue in this direction, again, I've showed you all of these things up here. So if we come back here to where the Enterprise and the car ride are and go up this path coming this way, let me just show you what else we've added up this way. So here's the path, going up the steps each time to the different levels of the hill. As you can see, we've got a topple tower which overlooks the log flume and the river, then a twister, and then one of the new rides, the clockwork. And then as we continue to keep coming up the hill here, you can now go up this way to the observation tower and another food court right here. As you can see, I've extended this further out after we've done the initial build of it, once we'd learned some more of the shops as we progress further through the scenario. So we started off with pizza, corn dogs. What's wrong with these cleaners? There's loads of cleaners. Why are they not cleaning the shops? So we started off originally with pizza, corn dogs and soft drinks, and added the trash chute and the goods delivery for the tube system, and then later on we added the sub sandwiches and the popcorn just to make sure that there was a little bit more stuff fleshed out in our food court. And as you can see, we've got a toilet right over here, and we've added some sunshades or rain protection across the top of where we've got our seating area. And behind this we've got another pre-built ride. This one is the Moorish Monarch, and I chose to put this one in, A, because it's got lots of twists and turns, and because it's got such a small footprint, so it fits on quite a small area of land, which is a really good type of build for this sort of space. And as you can see, the rain, as I've warned you, the rain keeps popping in and taking away from the chance to complete the scenario. Next to the food court, we've dropped in an orbiter, and as we keep following around right to the very end over here, we've got the top scan at the very top of the hill. And then if you come back from the top scan, you've got another bridge across the water here. This comes in next to the gyro drop tower, so we've got the observation tower and the gyro drop tower on opposite sides of the river here. And then that brings us back down to the transformer, which then leads back down to where we came into the park in the very first place. I'd like to just show you one little thing up from the very top here. There's this beautiful little waterfall thing coming out of the river here. And as I said, I was toying with the idea of putting a bobsled coaster up on this area, maybe getting a little bit more land up here and swinging it around near the waterfall. I didn't manage to do that in the end, but that's a potential idea that somebody else might like to take. And once all of this hadn't managed to finish off the scenario for me, I decided to expand a little bit further out, put in a path coming all the way back round from the top to the bottom, and added out here a go-kart track and another pre-built coaster. This one is a steel coaster state from the pre-builts again. And finally I managed to tick over to completing the scenario in year 8. So as I said, this was definitely the hardest scenario that I've completed in these campaigns. This is definitely the hardest one, and I hope that you have an awful lot of fun trying to build this one for yourselves. And if you've got any tips for helping other people to get this one completed, please pop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you managed to do to tip your scenario over to completion, and let us know if you managed to get the gold medal on this one, because I think that one's going to be quite a difficult one to get the gold medal for. So good luck with your own builds, and I hope that you found today's episode useful. From SoftKitty99, hope to see you again in the next one. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. From SoftKitty99, goodbye and happy gaming!